Well, let's rip off the Band-Aid. So, this video is probably going to be uh, I don't want to say like most viewed, but Caleb Williams very popular, very controversial, very high intrigue, I guess, from a lot of people. And I want to throw this disclaimer out here before we talk about this. We are 3 hours and 36 minutes into a podcast. So if you're watching this video and you say, "Oh, you missed this point. You didn't talk about this." Listen, dude. We're exhausted, but we're here.
Toast.
We're here. So let's talk about it. Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is my number one quarterback in this class. And Tristan, that's all I'm asking is that you listen. Just let me say what I need to say.
Hey, I'm more than happy to listen.
Because what I'm about to tell you is gonna drive you insane, right? I want to get that out there. But I have a reason for why I'm saying it. Don't freak out when I say it, okay? Just let me explain myself. Caleb Williams is coming in as the LeBron James, as the Zion Williamson of the draft. What do I mean when I say that? LeBron James, Zion Williamson, guys who have been high expectations, hyped up, talked about 24/7 since they were in high school, right? And I'm using the NBA comparison because it's the best one that I can give you, right? Because like Mahomes, right? We didn't know Mahomes was Mahomes in high school. Like, he wasn't being talked about the same when he was at Texas Tech. There was a lot of hype. Like, there was a lot of good things, right? Caleb Williams is very unique from a prospect standpoint when it comes to all the hype and everything like that. The closest one that I can give you is Trevor Lawrence, right? Trevor Lawrence was hyped up since he was very young. This kid's the next Peyton Manning. That's what a lot of people were saying. Go ahead.
I think Sam Darnold also had a lot of hype around him too, especially after his freshman year of the Rose Bowl.
Yes.
I would say there was equivalent hype, but again, I mean, yeah, I hear you though. I hear what you're saying because this guy's been listed as the disciple.
The difference though between Darnold is that's college, right? What I'm talking is before Caleb Williams was even in college, like we were talking about. And here's what I will say on this, right? And I'm gonna try to not go super long because I'm tired, but it is. Listen, this is the reality of the situation. Regardless, fair, unfair, whatever you want to say, Caleb Williams is being held to the expectations of Patrick Mahomes. Let's just call it what it is. Like, that is what people are expecting with Caleb Williams. Here's what I will tell you. There's a lot to get into with this. I have been watching Caleb Williams for a long, long time. I've been a fan of Caleb Williams. I like a lot of what he does. I've been watching him. Here's what I will tell you. The NFL is weird. The NFL draft is weird. Things will come out. Things will be said to try to get guys to slide. All those sort of different things, right? Okay. Caleb Williams has flaws, right? I want to throw that out there. He certainly has flaws, and I'm more than happy to get into them and we could talk about it. But here's what I will tell you. I've said it before, I'll say it again. What pisses me off is people will get too caught up in hype, right? And get too caught up in the draft news and does he want to play here and all of this shit. And I hate it. I always have and I always will because it's not fair. It's not fair to belittle and break down a player and nitpick to the very little things, overshadowing what he could be in that sort of situation. I think Caleb Williams is a victim, for better for worse, of his hype. I think he is a victim of his expectations. I think he's a victim of these quote-unquote draft experts these organizations will put out negative things towards him to try to get him to slide. And that's with everybody. That's going to be with every prospect. But with him especially, there's a lot. People want to talk about his dad. People want to talk about his mental fit as far as if he can handle the NFL game. People want to talk about when he wrote "fuck Utah" on his fingernails. Like, here's what I'll tell you. And maybe it's because we've been recording for 3 hours and 40 minutes that I say this. I don't fucking care. I don't care. It's stupid to me. Like, all the pre-draft drama shit it's unreal to me. And it happens every year, right? It happens every year. I talked about it already a billion times, right? Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, right? Justin Fields is in Chicago right now. You see what I'm wearing. I'm a Buckeye fan. Justin Fields is top 3 for me, favorite Buckeyes of all time. Here's the deal. And I know there's so much to talk about with this. But with that being said, absolutely I'm drafting Caleb Williams number 1 if I'm Chicago. Absolutely I would move on from Justin. And that's not easy for me to say, right? As a Buckeye fan. I want people to know that, right? Because this is not a Caleb Williams hype thing that I'm trying to tell you here. I love Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is a really, really good NFL quarterback. I think he has great traits. And I think he can be a really good NFL quarterback. Here's the thing with me. I've been watching Caleb Williams a long, long time. And we should throw this out here too, just for people who do not know. Caleb Williams, 6'1", 215 pounds, 22 years old, right? So there's that. But Caleb Williams is one of the most unique players that I think I've ever seen. Where there's no in between with him, right? People either love him or they hate him. And I think that's completely unfair, right? And this comes down to the expectation side of things. And a big part of this that I want to throw out there before I get into my thoughts and everything. If you have a strong opinion on Caleb Williams, and you're a person, and I'm not saying you, Tristan, I'm talking people at home listening. If you hate Caleb Williams and you think he's a bust and he's going to be terrible, I beg you, please, look at everything. Don't just look at USC. Go look at Oklahoma. Go look at the depth of his film and his career in football as a quarterback. Because let me tell you something. People wouldn't be trying to move heaven and earth to go get this guy if he wasn't anything, right? I have seen countless reports of like the Commanders are willing to blow up everything to go get him, and teams are wanting to trade up and all this. It's silly season, folks. It's silly season. You're gonna hear a lot, and here's what I'll tell you: Caleb Williams is gonna be the number 1 pick. That's just what it is. I'd be willing to sit here and bet everything I own. Caleb Williams is going to be the number 1 overall pick. Why? Because, again, regardless of what you think he will be, are you passing up on Zion Williamson? Are you passing up on LeBron James? Like, regardless, you might think he's not going to be that good, but are you going to be the one to pass up on... Go ahead, Tristan.
I was going to say, I hate to be the guy to ruin your analogy, and this is going to sound bad because, I'm going to sound like that guy, but I swear to you, the year that Zion got took, I preferred Jaw. I got to be honest. Like, didn't mean to ruin your analogy. Keep going, though.
No, you're good. No, I get it. But as far as the hype thing, like that's more so what I'm talking about here. It's like, listen, you can talk about it all you want. Like, I like John Morant too, right? Obviously, he's a totally different story too. But like, you weren't gonna be the ones to pass up. Like, you're just not gonna do it, and that's the reality here. Caleb Williams, whether if you like him or not, he's gonna be the number 1 pick, and I think that there's a lot to go into this. So might as well just get into it because I've been kind of rambling and beating around the bush. Caleb Williams has his flaws. That's what I started off with. His flaws. I think, and this is going to be controversial, I think Lincoln Riley's overrated. And I'll throw that out there. I have no problem saying it. Um, I mentioned it when we talked about Spencer Rattler. All of Lincoln Riley's quarterbacks have been dinged for holding on to the ball too long. And again, I think it's a system thing. Um, Lincoln's system is a lot of developing downfield passing, and a lot of that is holding on to the ball, extending plays so things open up. It's the big play. All of Lincoln's quarterbacks, all of them, have this right. Kyler Murray, Baker. Again, I said it earlier. Jalen, not so much, but Caleb, Spencer. It's Lincoln's system. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Lincoln. I think he is a great coach. I think he's a great offensive mind. But I do believe he runs a very college offense, right? And I don't think it's an NFL offense by any means, right? So I just want to throw that out there. That's my opinion. With Caleb holding on to the ball too long, yes, absolutely. Caleb holds on to the ball way too damn long. I'm not going to fully blame him for that, whether if you want to say that's fair or unfair. I do think a majority of that is system related. And the other part of it is he loves to play hero ball. He does. Like when you watch the tape, he loves to play hero ball. But that's why his highlights are so fun. That's why everybody loves looking at the highlights. But okay, let's talk about it. NFL level. What are the things that he does well that would translate to the NFL? One, you mentioned it. When he's in the pocket and he's calm, holy shit, he's good. Like he is. He is. There's no denying it. He can make every throw on the field. It's not the strongest arm. It's not Josh Allen. But he can make every throw on the field. And I've seen him throw into windows that are laughable. Like some of the throws that I've seen him make are like, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. Like there's just no way that's possible. And I'm not saying that to be funny. Like I'm being serious. Like he does things that are literally unreal. And I'm talking short game, medium game, and the deep ball. Like I've seen him throw into some crazy, crazy windows with timing, with anticipation, with poise, and with touch, right? He has all the tools, right? Have we seen it consistently? If you want to have that conversation of like, okay, is it on a consistent basis? I'm willing to have that conversation. That's completely fine. But the other thing too, let's talk about this mobility, right? Caleb Williams' mobility, and the reason why he gets compared to Mahomes is they run the same. Like they're both not the fastest in the world, but when it comes to extending plays and needing to get the yards, they both can do it, right? They both can do it. For me, I don't think he's all completely Mahomes. I think, like I said with Rattler, I think it's a little bit of Russell Wilson, a little bit of Mahomes style. And what I mean by that is Caleb Williams can be in a horrible situation and find a way to make a throw that he has no business making. You know what I mean? Like off target, back foot, whatever. He can do it. That's just God-given talent. That's just what that is. Now, when it comes to the NFL level and kind of the stuff that he struggles with, I do think early on he is going to struggle with the quickness of it. I think he's going to struggle going from that Lincoln Riley offense, into an NFL offense where it's like, okay, timing. However, I think his ability to extend plays is not just because like the Lincoln Riley system, what I mentioned. I think he does have a legitimate skill set to extend plays, be elusive, and make plays. And what I like about him the most as far as the next level is he's not looking to run. Yes, he sometimes bails early. Yes, sometimes, he gets a little antsy early, but he's looking to make a throw. And there's countless times, especially, when it's not even in long field situations. I'm talking when it's like you're on the 20-yard line looking at the end zone. That's sometimes when he does his best work. And that's what's so impressive to me is, okay, extending plays enough to hit a guy coming over the middle or in a tight window. He does that at an unreal level. I think he's got great accuracy when he's not kind of in a panic, which he gets into sometimes. He's got great accuracy. Like I said, the touch, the arm strength, all of it's there. He sees things kind of before they happen, which all the good quarterbacks have, right? Throwing guys open, throwing into places, like I said, where you have no business throwing into. Like, he can do that. The biggest concern I have with him again is I think the adjustment. I think the adjustment is going to be a little bit rocky early on, but once he gets it, I think he's great. I think he's top 10, top 5. And I personally, I don't have a doubt about that. Like, I think once he gets it, it'll click. But the problem is, again, the expectations are so high that if he doesn't come in day one and do that, people are going to say he sucks. And everybody wants to talk about his mental capacity, right? And people want to talk about, can he handle it? When you listen to Lincoln and you listen to some of his coaches talk about him, it's not the same as the media narrative. So I'm going to trust his teammates. I'm going to trust his coaches that he's not as much as what the media wants to make him out to be. But I definitely understand the concern. I think, listen, at the end of the day, I know I've been rambling, but I'm tired. At the end of the day, he's too good to pass up. He's too good to pass up. You've seen him do too many good things at too high of a level to pass up. And I'll read you his stats. I don't think I've read the stats yet. At Oklahoma, he came in again, replaced Rattler, 1,912 yards, 21 touchdowns, 4 picks. I wish it told me games played. It doesn't tell me games played. But then he goes to USC, follows Lincoln Riley, 4,537 yards, 66 completion percentage, 42 touchdowns, 5 picks. This was kind of a really, really good year. And again, he lost some guys, right? Lost Jordan Addison. We know how good he is. And then this past year was a little bit of a disappointment. It was a little bit of a dip off. 68% completion percentage, 3,633 yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 picks. Okay, so there's your numbers. I think a little bit of the dip off was a couple reasons. I think some of his talent was gone, A. B, I'm not going to lie to you. I think he was trying to play it safe a little bit for the NFL. I really do. Because I watched a lot of USC games this year, and he didn't look the same as far as how he plays this year to last year. So I really don't know if that was like his camp, his family, whatever, being like, hey, protect yourself. You're going to be this, you're going to be that. I don't know. But I think once he gets to the NFL level, I think he's going to play his football. And I think you're going to see the best of him in an NFL system, right? Because the bubble screens and all that shit, I don't care. That's not impressive to me at all. It makes no difference, right? That's not the stuff that I'm impressed with. What I'm impressed with is throwing off target, right? When you're in situations where you got to make a play, his ability to throw the ball in those situations is great. His ability to escape pressure and extend plays, good or bad, right? That's a good thing at the next level. If you can do it, that's the question. If you can do it, I think he can. I'm not really worried about that. Arm strength, accuracy, all those things are very good positives. The biggest thing for him, decision making, going through his reads, breaking down defenses. How soon is he going to be able to learn that, right? That's the question. Now, the good news is, last thing I'll say, Mahomes said he didn't even understand how to break down defenses on that until his couple years as a starter in the league. And he was still playing at a high level. So I'm not saying that, it's going to be the same thing because they're two different people, two different players. But I'll say this, and I feel this strongly. I think Caleb Williams would be drafted number one in the last, I don't know how many drafts. He'd be drafted number one over Bryce Young. He would be drafted number one over Baker for sure. He'd be drafted number one over Trayvon Walker for sure. I think he would be drafted number one over
Trevor Lawrence?
Burrow. I think Burrow he'd be drafted number one over. I really do. Trevor's interesting. Him and Trevor are the closest as far as their situations,
like stuff, yeah.
As far as the hype and all that stuff. So, I don't know. I know that was a lot of rambling. Again, I apologize. I'm like barely here. I'm very tired. Again, we're 4 hours in.
4 hours
now.
in, and it's just past 1 o'clock in the morning.
Did it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we're here. This is officially our longest podcast, Tristan.
Oh,
How about
gosh.
that?
And you thought we would get
yeah.
through this quick.
I didn't
let's try
say
to get through
that.
this quick. I said, I'll be about 3 hours.
Maybe.
And you were like, oh.
Here we are at 4. But I'll give you the floor to talk about what I just talked about, and then I'll rebuttal if I have anything.
So here's the thing with Caleb, in my opinion, is you're absolutely right. And part of the reason why I think he has the biggest ceiling of any of the quarterbacks in this class is because he's proven he can do the spectacular, the special, right? The 1 in 1 million plays. Like, he can do those things, right? Similar to Patrick Mahomes. He's got that big play ability. Where I have the concern, like you said, breaking down defenses, going through reads, being patient in the pocket, being composed, and being consistent. Part of the reason why I worry for Caleb. Number one, right, he's going to be picked first overall, like you said. I highly doubt that the Bears are willing to potentially deal with the consequences of not taking him. And if they are, then they're going to trade down, right? And who would they trade down with? I doubt that they would want to trade out of getting Marvin Harrison Jr. So that means that they would either trade back to 2 or 3, right? So if we look at it that way, Caleb Williams will either go to Chicago Bears, which is their most likely destination, Washington Commanders, or the New England Patriots. In my opinion, this is a player that has to develop, and, we agree there. I think more so than I think a lot of people realize. I know you realize it because you're talking about how, similarly, that this is stuff that he needs to work on. I don't have trust in either 3 of those organizations that they are going to put him in a healthy environment to grow and to learn how to dissect an NFL offense. That is my biggest concern. And that's why I've got him from at an early to mid-round pick. It's for a grade. It's because while I think he has the highest potential, he needs nurturing. A lot more nurturing than I think, again, a lot of people are willing to accept. He's got bad habits. He does. He's inconsistent, like I've said before. I again, otherworldly talent, can make the 1 in 1 million plays. It's just, for me, I struggle to see. I shouldn't say struggle to see. I think it's gonna be hard for him to adjust. And I think he's got to get in a very good situation and the situations in front of him, I don't know how good they are. That's my concern. Because Justin Fields, I think, like you said, I think he's a good NFL quarterback. Um, he's had to deal with a lot of turnover in Chicago, a lot of new systems, a lot of new coaches, a lot of new players around him. No stability whatsoever there. And he hasn't had the opportunity to learn and to grow within a system. If year one goes bad with Caleb, do you not think that Matt Eberflus will be fired? Because he was on the hot seat at the end of last year. I think he would be toast, right?
Yeah.
And now, year two, he'd effectively be having another coach coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say with that coach, it takes a year for him to learn the system, which isn't unreasonable to say, right? Because he's a young quarterback. Are we confident that by that time he hasn't either corrected his bad habits or, potentially built some new ones? Like, it's just, for me, again, I view this guy as the potential is rare. You very rarely see guys grace this league with as much potential as this guy has. My worries are similar to that of what Josh Allen had when he came in, where all the physical traits and tools are there. He can do the special, but he's got a lot of work to do, especially with Josh Allen, more so than Caleb, I will say. Mm-hmm. But again, man, it's just, I worry about the environment he's going into. If he's going to be okay in it, that's my biggest concern, I would say.
Let me throw a different side of this in here, because I think this matters too, and this has kind of been overlooked as well. And maybe this is just my perspective is different than some people. So the Bears hold the number 1 pick and the number 9 pick, right? And this is important too. This is ultimately why they're gonna pick him, and this is ultimately why this ain't their pick.
No,
this is not their pick. This is from the Carolina Panthers. Let's just call it what it is. Panthers fucked up, and I think they fucked up bad.
Yeah.
So the Bears hold the number 1 pick in the draft with a guy who has been talked about for years, right, as his generational talent. Here's what I'll say. The Bears lucked into this pick. Like, they convinced the Panthers that Bryce Young was worth all they gave up, right? Great job from the Bears, right? So they hold the number 1 pick and the number 9 pick, right? And everybody wants to say that the Bears are not... I've heard this argument that the Bears aren't a great team. I disagree. I disagree. I think the Bears are one of these teams, and I'm not saying this because of Caleb, right? I'm not saying this because of Caleb at all. I'm saying this even if Justin was there. If they handled the offseason right, they could be a playoff team. They're in the NFC. They are kind of in a tough division now that the Lions are good. The Packers, even though they're not like overly talented, that team is playing better than they should. They're good, but it's still the NFC, right? We saw it with the AFC North. The Browns were in, the Steelers were in, and the Ravens were in, right? I could see a similar situation. So, if I was running the show here with the Bears, I would take Caleb number 1, and then you have the number 9 pick. Tristan, let's just go through here real fast. Number 2 is going to be a quarterback, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3,
quarterback or receiver.
Probably quarterback or receiver, one of the two, and if it is receiver, it's Marv. Mm-hmm. 4, Arizona, probably receiver.
Yeah, receiver, or I'm thinking Joe Alt, left tackle.
Joe Alt, or I could see a trade here with Arizona.
Yeah,
for sure. Especially if Marv's off the table, I could see
one of those 2 picks would be Marv. The other would be a quarterback for sure. I'm confident in that.
Correct. Yes. So then we get to the Chargers. That's pick 5. I think the Chargers are going to take Brock Bowers. I think that makes the most sense for me personally. I think it makes too much sense. The only thing, yeah, I mean that's it. That's all I see there. The Giants, um, that's interesting. They could go offensive line. They could go a couple different ways. Um, and then the Titans, they could go offensive line. My point being in saying all this, the Bears at number 9 could end up with one of either Malik Neighbors or Romo Dunze.
Mm-hmm.
That's there. That's in play.
I think they should. Here's the other thing is, if they could find a way to trade for
Mm-hmm.
4, although I doubt Arizona would let Marv go. So,
No, I don't
but
think
if
so
they could
either.
at least trade up to guarantee, because I'm with you. I do like Neighbors more than Odunze. And since they're, I don't know, that's
Yeah.
tough. That's so tough.
Let, let me get
Yeah,
to
go
this
ahead,
real
go ahead.
fast because I don't want to keep beating around the bush. But basically, what my point being here is the Bears have 2 top 10 draft picks, right? That's rare. They could get they could get their quarterback if that's which I think it's gonna happen. They can take Caleb, and then they can either get one of two things. They can either get a great offensive lineman or a really good receiver, which I think either or would be fine. I think either or would be great. Then the Bears have, Tristan, the Bears have a lot of cap space this offseason. I think if you, and again, a lot of these guys are probably going to let go. If they go into next year with DJ Moore, probably draft pick at number 2, and then maybe sign a solid vet number 3, because Darnell Mooney's
Ooh,
a free
how about
agent.
this, Tyler Boyd?
Yeah, yeah,
Tyler Boyd would make a
that
lot
would
of
be
sense for
nice.
them.
Tyler Boyd, and then Cole Kmet at tight end. Caleb Williams, your quarterback. Offensive line, I'm not here to sit here and try to figure that out. That's on them. That's their job. But the guy they drafted last year has been really good. So that's a good sign. That's a good start.
You're not talking about
Um,
Harris. No, that was Steelers, wasn't he?
yeah.
Who's the great
No, that's Broderick
Roger
Jones.
That's right.
Yeah. I forget his name, from Tennessee. Anyway, that's not the point. Point is, I think the Bears are in a unique situation where they got what they believe to be an elite quarterback on a rookie contract, Tristan. We know how valuable that is. What if they go sign like a Saquon Barkley?
You could do that. That would be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think the defense is fine. I think the Bears defense is fine. I think they're fine at tight end. I think they have their wide receiver 1. I think if you add a wide receiver 2 and a vet wide receiver 3, you add a running back, that offense, he's got all the tools to work with. That's all I'm going to say
Yeah.
for year 1.
Well, here's the thing. So, do we know who the Bears OC is?
Yes, we do. And he does have ties to Caleb, I believe.
Okay.
Or maybe not ties to Caleb, but ties to his offensive style or something. Hold on.
Okay, just let me see. Oh, Shane Waldron.
Shane Waldron.
Okay.
Yes.
That's actually a decent hire, I will say, from Seattle. Again, I mean, I hear you. I hear you. The only concern I have, though, is, again, if they go out and do all this stuff, and there's expectation, because, again, it's the NFL. Fans expect a lot, right? And if there's a lot of expectation year 1 and people are claiming him to be this guy, and he's not ready to be that guy because he's still a raw prospect, is it possible, and I think it could be very possible, that Eberflus gets fired, Waldron goes out, all new guys come in? That's where, in my opinion, they got to stick with Eberflus for at least 2 years. Eberflus and Waldron. Unless it's like abysmally bad, like they're about to like get number 1 overall pick again bad, like then you move on, of course, but like just I don't know, man. It's, for me, his development is delicate. in order for him to get to the level that I think
agree.
we hope that he can get to, very delicate. Because I think, let me just say this, I don't think it's unrealistic for his development to go south, and he doesn't live up to the potential, and he doesn't get really close to it. Because he's got flaws in his game. He's got big flaws, dude. Like, and I know you hear that
look
too.
at Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence too.
Look at Trevor Lawrence right now. Everybody thought he was going to be for sure thing. And what I'll say with Trevor Lawrence, I think it's kind of the same thing that's going to happen with Caleb. I think he's going to have his really good moments. I think he'll have some bad moments. But listen, at the end of the day, here's the reality. Bears are going to have to make a gamble. I don't think it's a bad gamble. That's me personally. I think this is if Justin Fields or Caleb Williams. I'm going Caleb Williams, and I love Justin Fields to death.
Yeah.
And I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You were handed the number 1 overall pick.
I think it's a good idea for Chicago to hit the reset button on the quarterback position, because I feel like right now they're kind of growing as a team into a potential contender, and if they have to pay Justin Fields in a year, 2 years, like, it kind of narrows their championship window. So I'm with you. They got to kind of move off of him. I agree with you in that aspect. For me, I would prefer to see them go. I would prefer to see them go Drake May. I don't think they would. I doubt they would, because that would be. Let me say this though: if it ends up being like Drake May, if they end up having the balls to take Drake May 1,
I'll be speechless.
I'll be speechless, but I will be, like, I'll actually be, because not only that, but remember the last time that the Bears had a really high pick quarterback from North Carolina? Yeah, so some scar tissue there. So it would be a ballsy move, but I think that Drake May is just. I think there's an easier transition for Drake May, in my opinion. But I understand we differ that. But again, Are you willing to pass up on the hype?
I don't see. That's the thing, though. For me personally, I don't think it's just hype. I've seen it long enough.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying, though.
No.
Are you going to pass up on Zion Williamson? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. You know what? Maybe that's like Zion's not LeBron.
No.
Right? We can look at that right now. But is Zion a bad player? No. Zion's a really good player. So I think, I don't know. It's an interesting situation. Yeah. Like, when you look at it as us as Browns fans, like, I want the Bears to be good.
Yeah.
I think the Bears are an organization, like a historic organization. I think they deserve to be good. I want them to be good. And they're in the NFC, so
who cares?
What do I care, right?
Same with the Lions, yeah.
But, yeah, like, I don't know. I just think you have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in your lap. You lucked into the Panthers sucking and getting the number 1 overall pick. I ain't passing it up. I love Justin Fields to death. I think he's awesome. And I think it's, you know what, to be honest with you, I think it's better for both sides. I really do. I think it's best for Chicago to move on, and I think it's best for Fields to move on, because I think he needs to be in a different spot. And you know what? I hope he goes to the Falcons. I want him to go home to Georgia. I think him and Bijan, that read option, you get Fields a really good tight end. Yep, you get Fields a really good tight end, good receiver. I think it makes sense. I think it's best for both sides. So, I don't know. It's silly season. Be careful. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. Be careful. Trust in the hype. And you might hear the Bears aren't in love with Caleb Williams. Yes, they fucking are. Like, I promise you. Like, at the end of the day, that's what all this is. The draft is all about trying to poker face one team out of the other. And it works. It works. How many times have we seen the Browns fuck this shit up?